Sydney Fizzard for Rebel News here in Lethbridge, Alberta, where the province is hosting the AB Next panel, the Alberta Next panel, that is, where there are supposed to be town hall events. There are hundreds of people in the facility behind me here listening to the Premier and those on stage, and likewise those on stage are hearing the concerns and the questions from the audience. One of the focuses of this event is to bring attention to the province on specifically where Albertans are in relation to certain topics that they might want to have on a referendum next year in 2026. One of those, of course, is independence. That will be discussed along with a variety of other topics, much like equalization or the Alberta pension plan. One thing I should remind people of is the fact that the Alberta Next panel isn't a United Conservative Party event. This is open to the public, so some of the takes you're going to hear today are going to be from either side of the conversation. This is not supposed to be a partisan event. There are varying concepts being presented at this event, both from the people and from the province. And to my point, in the interviews I was doing, the interviews that took place before the official end of the event were very against the event itself, whereas after the event had concluded, those interviews were much more positive. So we were able to dig in to get some of these different perspectives for you. And we're going to find out how that plays here in Lethbridge, Alberta.
Thank you so much. It is so great to see such a huge turnout tonight. I know that there's lots of things you could be doing with one of the last beautiful days of summer, and we're so glad that you decided to spend it with us. For the last 10 years, Ottawa has taken direct aim at Alberta's core industries, from C-69 to the tanker ban, the oil and gas emissions cap, which really works like a production cap, and their net zero mandates on electricity and vehicles. In just the last 10 years alone, more than $500 billion of global investment capital destined for our resource sector has disappeared. It's cost us hundreds of thousands of jobs, hundreds of billions in GDP and resource royalties that would have gone to help us pay for our growing demands in healthcare, education, and infrastructure. If Canada is to be a strong and unified country, it must include a strong and sovereign Alberta within a united Canada, able to pursue our own potential without being held back by our own country.
From everything you heard tonight, what stuck out to you the most?
There is a lot of positive coming out, and we were actually able to share opinions without getting heckled too badly.
Our consensus is that we agree with a lot of what Danielle Smith says. But we don't trust her to implement any of these policies in a way that really serves the needs of Albertans.
A lot of people in the room really agreed with what the process, first of all, and agreed with the concerns that regarding Alberta versus the federal government.
I think it's kind of a waste of time because I don't think any of this is going to go through. The federal government has total control of all of Canada, and I don't think Alberta has a chance.
I mean, it's what all the politicians are doing. I don't think there was really a single question answered other than all the softball ones.
This is a UCP love fest, and that they're trying to blame Ottawa for everything. Clearly, this is to rile up the separatists and to get more support for separation and to get the money from our CPP to fund the new state of Alberta with Danielle Smith as the governor.
Honestly, I believe the CPP is a Ponzi scheme. There's nothing there, and as soon as input is gone, output is gone, because there's nothing to back it up. And I would love to see that but I'd love to see that come to Alberta and be managed by Alberta, be the money invested by Alberta in Alberta. Aside from that thing, I was very encouraged by the positivity from the general consensus. And as usual, the most vocal people tend to be in the minority. And I think that the general consensus was these are great ideas. And I think we have an incredible leadership in Premier Smith's group.
Albertans have a variety of opinions on these issues, and it's not clear and dry. I mean, just take the pension plan. I think Bruce said that the vote won. It was pretty split, I say, but there was an overwhelming support for Alberta to take a lead-in role in renegotiating some of these issues. And that is our place. Alberta is the economic engine of our country. And if other provinces won't step up and declare how the federal government is unconstitutionally invading our jurisdiction, it is our responsibility to step up and do that.
I can't figure out if the panel is to sort of sway the Alberta population into a consolidation of power and an exodus from Canada, or if they're really genuinely trying to give a bigger push to the federal government to leave all provinces to their own autonomy. I'm getting mixed messages, to be honest.
As a historian, I've been looking closely at the issue of the parts of Canada that used to be Rupert's Land and then became the Northwest Territories, were not formal colonies in 1867, but were treated in a colonial way, and that colonial treatment has never stopped. And I wanted to make a point of saying that as a prelude to asking about what about William Macus. And he's making very serious accusations at Danielle Smith and what's going on in her office. I'm not sure that I completely accept everything, his version of events. I did ask her once before when I was working on the by-election here about William Macus, and she did call him a liar.
So regardless of what each of us believes about these issues or which path we think is best, we as Albertans must be able to respectfully debate and discuss these issues here with friends and family members and neighbors. And I know that if we do that, in the end, our province will find the best solutions for the immense challenges that we face and come out stronger and freer than ever.
How do you feel about the dance here between the federal and the provincial governments? Who do you think is doing a good job? Who do you think is doing a bad job?
There's definitely a lot of convolution in the federal government, and I think that the panel has done a great job at addressing that there needs to be reform in a lot of different aspects. Unfortunately, I think that's going to be very difficult. It's dealing with the federal government. They like to keep the status quo, it seems, and they don't really want to listen. So I do applaud them for that, for the push.
I think federal government is mistreating Alberta.
I just think that's like a parent complaining about a grandparent or a kid, oh, they're not treating me fairly or whatever. It's overdoing it.
They mistreat Alberta, period. I think that the whole system is designed to get our wealth and not give us the respect we deserve.
And the Liberals, I think it's just Liberals 2.0.
I like coming back to that, yeah.
2.0. Carney kept a lot of the same advisors, so things are going to be slow.
We have a severe lack of control. The government is saying, give us all the money, but stopping us from actually producing that money. And a comment was made earlier tonight that, if Albertans were in a position of security where we felt secure in our ability to govern ourselves and produce an income and take care of our families, 100% we want to help the rest of the country, but we feel like the rug is being pulled out from underneath us when we're being asked to shoulder such a huge burden. And that just doesn't make any sense.
I guess just the things I'm worried about are lack of funding in our social services, and that's really nothing that came up today. I feel like there's not enough money going into our healthcare and our education. Our education, especially because the teachers are threatening to strike on the 6th, just over that exact thing, and I feel like this almost seems like some sort of distraction from those two really important things with these 6 topics that I feel don't particularly matter very much at all.
Well, my biggest issue is the clear violation of the Constitution when the federal government impedes on provincial areas, light immigration, light agriculture, but also their foray into healthcare and education, and the attachment on oil and gas industry. It's just not tenable. And so, I blame a lot of this on the last government of Justin Trudeau. Mark Carney here has an opportunity to change the narrative, change the shift. We heard some optimistic words from the Premier tonight. I'm hopeful that those come to fruition and Albertans can start having a a government in Ottawa that at least recognizes how we are the economic engine for this country, and there is no Canada without a strong and free Alberta.
You know, we've seen it quite recently with the AISH, that is the Alberta Assured Income for the Severely Handicapped, using an old term, handicapped. This government is so far out of touch. Anyway, the severely disabled people in Alberta, in all of Canada actually, were given $200 a month by the federal government. The UCP decided, it's the only government, actually, the Alberta government, decided that they would claw back the $200 given to the most severely disabled and put it into their own coffers. Based on the fact that they said that this is income. All the other provinces exempted this $200 from income.
So regardless of what each of us believes about these issues or which path we think is best, we as Albertans must be able to respectfully debate and discuss these issues here with friends and family members and neighbors. And I know that if we do that, in the end, our province will find the best solutions for the immense challenges that we face and come out stronger and freer than ever.
And when it comes to the province's future, what do you hope is next for Alberta?
Well, I am, first of all, a Canadian, and I'm not a pro-separatist person, but I think that we need to make sure that we have the mandate to push for a better deal in Canada. And we'll only get that if the Alberta people get behind these programs.
All roads lead to Alberta independence. That's my belief.
As the panel said, there's lots of issues to address. I hope that we can come to some sort of agreement overall, but still stay united as a country.
God, I'd like some peace and calm and focus on prosperity, and focus on being good to our population and stop rattling chains.
I hope we lay 2 pipelines, one to Port Churchill and one to Port Nelson, and when we get our resources to market, then we can have as much clout as the East does. And as Yves Francois Blanchette said, Quebec and its provinces, I think it'll be Alberta and its provinces, and they can be Quebec and we'll be Canada.
I'm sure it's too much to hope for someone who will do everything perfectly, but I just feel like there's not enough focus on the people who live here, and there's a lot of what can we do to get the best tagline, get the best headline.
I'm not personally a fan of independence, but I do want more autonomy, light on immigration, and respect by the federal government to not impede on natural resource extraction, or education or healthcare, and just to allow Alberta to prosper and generate the wealth that really drives the entire country. I think we are more than willing to support all these smaller provinces in this country, but we need to be able to create the wealth that allows that to take place.
I'd like to see an NDP government. I'd like to see someone who has some concern for people. I'd like to see fairness. I'd like to see schools properly funded so that the students aren't in classrooms with 35 kids or sitting in the hallways because the schools are overcrowded. I'd like to see health care restored to the public rather than being privatized.
Yeah, I've been a staunch patriot for so many years, and I'm starting to think that has actually been a delusion. I don't think that Canada has ever supported Alberta. And if Canada could support Alberta, I would love to remain in the country with Alberta being able to govern our future. But I don't know if that's a realistic thing to hope for. And if the federal government continues to act the way it has, then I think that an independent sovereign nation in Alberta is the best option forward.
Hope you enjoyed what they had to say. Let me know in the comments, what do you hope is next for Alberta? For Rebel News, I'm Sydney Fizzard. RebelFieldReports.com is where you have to go if you want to support our independent journalism. It's through your crowdfunding that we're able to be at events like this. And you can support us by going to RebelFieldReports.com.